Up today is the Ambient Weather WR-111a Adventure Emergency Radio. This is another great option in the line of emergency radios that do NOAA weather radio, hand crank charging, and solar power charging, along with some other features. This is the box that comes with it, at least the back of the box. Goes over some of the general features of the radio, and here is the radio itself. Nice red and black design, looks very nice. This black stuff is kind of a rubberized plastic material, makes it a little bit more grippy, I suppose, but fits pretty well in the palm of your hand. Just to get the stats out of the way, 5.5 inches by 3 inches by 2 inches, weighs in at 0.51 pounds, so nice small size. This is a great radio for putting either in your bug out bag, your get home bag, or just keeping around the house if there's a blackout or some type of weather emergency that you need to keep track of. This will also even alert you to bad weather or weather emergencies, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So nice weather radio to have around. Price on this, list price is $80, but street price seems to be more around $39.99. These were actually on a bit of a drought for several months. Even Ambient Weather didn't have them in stock, and they are now back in stock, at least as of January 2013. And I picked one up from Amazon, $39.99. Not a bad price for everything you get for this radio. General features of this radio: AM, FM, NOAA weather radio, flashlight, solar charging, hand crank, cell phone charging. Lots of stuff packed into this little radio, and I will go over the features of all that individually here. On the back, there's the hand crank, and so there's the dynamo pops out, and you want to charge that. You spin it around about 2 times a second. When you first charge it from a dead battery, you want to do that for about 3 to 5 minutes to power the battery, and then after that, 1 minute of cranking will get you about 70 minutes of radio time. The battery is right over here. It is a single WR-111a rechargeable battery. That way, if for some reason you ever need to replace the battery, you can do that fairly simply with just one of those rechargeable batteries. They do recommend that if you're going to store this for extended periods of time, you take the little piece of plastic that comes with it and put that in the battery to disconnect it. The dynamo tucks out of the way and fits right back in there, nice and out of the way. Also on the back here is the antenna. The antenna comes out, sticks out about 2 feet, I'd say. Give you a little bit better reception. And that also tucks out of the way. On the top, the solar power charging and the light or the button for the battery, or sorry, for the flashlight. The solar power charger, so obviously you can do it out in the sun, but also you can do it with a desk lamp. I use daylight CFL bulbs, and when the radio is charging, this green light here lights up. When you're charging it with the dynamo, it actually turns red. Apparently red takes more power for whatever reason, so when it's charging by solar power, you just get a green light there. But it will charge by desk lamp if you have the right kind of lighting, apparently. I don't know quite the speed of what it charges, either solar or with desk lamps or other kinds of bulbs, but it will charge that way if you let it sit for long enough. Otherwise, on the top here is the button for the flashlight. The flashlight up here is a 3 LED flashlight. Not super bright, but if you're in a blackout, this will help you with some basic tasks around the house. I wouldn't want to go find my way through the woods with it, but again, in the right situation, it will work pretty well for some simple tasks. On the back here, this is where you can charge either the radio itself or some other options. This little piece here lifts up, and under here there's a headset jack, such that if you want to take like a little cell phone headset, 3.5 millimeter jack, plug that in there, and then you can listen to the radio with a pair of headphones if you don't want to have it going through the speaker for whatever reason. Next down here is the cell phone charger, and down here is the charger for charging the radio. Now this does come with several cord and adapter options. The 2 main cords it comes with is a regular USB to mini USB, and then this one is just a male-female end cord for charging cell phones. So if you're going to charge the radio itself from some type of USB charger, plug this into the USB, plug the mini USB into here, and that will charge the radio. Alternatively, if you want to charge a cell phone, plug this end into here, and then you pick what kind of adapter you need. So micro USB, mini USB, Apple connector, and then there's also a USB adapter that comes with it. plug this onto the other end of it here, and then you can take your cell phone and plug it in there. Now, one of the complaints I had with the other radio that I reviewed is that I would crank it and it just would not charge the radio or not charge the phone. On this, I thought I had to crank it to charge it, so I was cranking, nothing was happening, and finally I just let it sit, and you know, it's at well, you can see it's charging. The little charging indicator is up here, and actually after letting this sit for just a couple minutes, the charging percentage here went up a couple percent, went up 2% in a couple minutes. So you can just let it sit. It will charge your cell phone. It is a high battery drain on this, so you're not going to get a ton out of it. You're going to need to be careful with that and probably crank it up more to keep it charged, but it will charge a cell phone. It actually worked decently well. I was surprised. So this is also probably a good option, therefore, if you want to keep something in your car, in your get home bag, and you're concerned about keeping your cell phone charged, this will actually work for that, and just keep the appropriate adapter with it. All right, moving on to the radio options here. So AM, FM, and NOAA weather radio. Now, when I did the review of my Eaton FR160 radio, I went in a little bit more depth about NOAA weather radio functions there, the background, the different voices. I'll post a link to that review, and you can check out some of that information with how the NOAA weather radio works, where it's out of, that type of thing. So I won't go into that in depth here. So the buttons on here are all pretty self-explanatory. Power, volume up, volume down, mode, and tuning up and down. Power turns it on. FM, press the mode, it will go to AM. And pressing it again, we'll go into the NOAA weather radio. There are 7 channels of NOAA weather radio. You can cycle through them from 400 up to 500, I think, or 550. So you find the one that is yours, leave it there. Quick idea of the radio. So there's the sample of the weather radio. Now this also has a weather radio alert option, such that if there's an emergency, say you're going to bed and you don't know how the weather's going to be overnight. Is there going to be a tornado? You know, there may be a threat of a tornado or something bad, but you're not sure. Do you go to bed? Do you not go to bed? What you can do is you hold down the mode button for 2 seconds, and that weather band will start flashing. And what that does is that will continuously scan the weather band, and if there is an emergency, the radio will turn on and alert you to that. They do recommend, because this is a high power drain, since it's constantly scanning, that you have this plugged into a USB type charging, so it keeps the battery charged and keeps the radio functioning for that. To get out of that, you just press any button, and it goes back to the main, or it gets out of that mode anyway. So those are the radio options. The speaker is actually pretty nice, especially with AM. So pretty nice. As far as the length of duration of the battery, you know, I was a little bit nervous before I got this, because I had that Eaton radio that I had, and I was concerned, and I'd comment on someone else's video, or they comment on mine, that I thought, well, with this clock on all the time, surely that's draining the battery, and I wouldn't want to let this sit for a long time. But when I initially got this, I cranked it for a minute or a couple, and then I let it sit. You know, I listened to it a little bit. I let it sit for well over a week. This stayed on, no problem. It kept time. And then I listened to an hour-long radio program yesterday. I think I cranked it for about 15 seconds just for the heck of it. And then I listened to an hour-long radio program with this. No problems with it at all. So the battery on this is actually pretty robust. And then certainly the nice thing is that if the battery dies, well, you just crank it for a minute, and that'll get you over an hour worth of listening. So nice option there. So this is overall a great radio. Just a quick size comparison. This Eaton radio that I did, it is a little bit smaller. Fits in your hand a little bit easier, a little bit lighter. So depending on what you need, if you want a smaller radio, oops, that's upside down. There we go. There's the Eaton FR160 that I previously reviewed. A little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. So if you want something that's a little bit more compact, but maybe doesn't have the features, the Eaton's a great option. If you're looking for something that's a little bit larger, but has more features, then this Ambient Weather is going to be a little bit better option. It's really not that much bigger. It's not going to take up that much more space, and it's only a little bit heavier. So I think this radio is $10 more than the Eaton. Both great radios, both going to be good for whatever you need them for. The Eaton radio, however, really did not charge my cell phone really at all. And you can check out my video for that. But otherwise, that's about it. The Ambient Weather WR-111a emergency weather NOAA weather radio. Great option for keeping around for emergencies. Check one out.